Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Tonkin, the First Indochina War. This is a game designed by Kim Kanger and published by Legion Wargames. This is one of two games that I just received from Legion, and big thanks to Bruce Garrick for pointing out to me, yeah, you may have that game on the CPO list, but you've actually got to go order it to get it. I wrongly thought that once I put it on the CPO, I'd get charged, and I would have been kicking myself if I had missed out on these two games. But we'll take a look at this first, and then we'll get to the second one in another video. But wanted to let you guys know, if you are interested in this or the Algerian War of Independence that has been republished by Legion, definitely jump on them now. You don't want to miss them. They go out of print. These are great games by Kim Kanger and very popular, so don't miss out on them. Now, with that said, let's take a look at the back of the box. It says here, the First Indochina War was fought between the Viet Minh and France from 1946 to 1954. Following the reoccupation of Indochina by France in 1945, the area having fallen to the Japanese during World War II, the Viet Minh launched a rebellion against the French authority governing the colonies of French Indochina. The first few years of the war involved a low-level rural insurgency against French authority. However, after the Chinese Communists reached the northern border of Vietnam in 1949, the conflict turned into a conventional war between armies equipped with weapons supplied by the United States and the Soviet Union. Tonkin is a two-player game that focuses on the intensive years from 1950 to 1954 in the northern part of Vietnam called Tonkin and Laos. It is a highly interactive game where players spend operation points to perform a variety of mostly non-combat missions, and in conjunction expend supply dumps to perform combat missions, keeping in mind that supply dumps are also needed to keep units in supply. Both players have 10 operation points to use each turn, but can only spend a random number, up to a maximum of 3 points, before the opposing player has an opportunity to spend operation points and conduct missions. This creates a game where players, in the long term, have to plan missions and allocate supply, and at the same time be prepared to react to their opponent's actions. In the short term, players will be forced to make decisions based upon the number of operations points available and the missions they need to accomplish. The two sides have very different armies. The French units are strong with artillery and air support, plus they are highly motorized, which gives them greater mobility in clear terrain. The Viet Minh units move faster in rugged terrain, can ambush, and fight with sudden ferocity. This is a game of high tension and tough decisions, and is won by controlling territory, wearing your enemy down, and by forcing the other player to expend replacements and bring in reinforcements to maintain objectives. A game where planning and reaction are key components to victory, and where bold offensives can turn the tide or cost you the war. I really like the sound of how this plays out. You know, most war games, it's pretty much, okay, here are your units, pound each other to dust and see who wins. This is actually much more planning involved in this as well, and it really sounds like you got to break your enemy's will and the capability of fighting. And I like the sound of that in a war game. I'm really excited to give this one a look. But here's an example of the game counters and the game map. The game scale is battalion to regiment size. Map scale is 12.5 miles per hex. Turn scale is 1 month per turn, and it is for 2 players playing time of 6 to 18 hours. The game comes with a 22 by 34 inch map, 24-page rulebook, 352 game counters, 5 scenario cards, and 2 player aid charts. It is for 1 to 2 players. It is medium complexity and medium solitaire suitability, and I think it's because of the operation points planning that it actually drops down to medium rather than medium high or high. But definitely sounds like a game that you can play solitaire. It's just going to take some effort, and I think it's going to be worth it. Let's take a look inside the box to see what you get with Tonkin. Got our baggies and dice. Got our rules of play. Two counter sheets, our map, and then our player aid cards. So let's lay out this map, and we'll take a look at everything you get in the game. And here we've got a look at the map that comes with Tonkin. I'm going to see if I'm going to have to move it around a little bit to show you some of the boxes on the map, but we've got our movement cost chart over here, eliminated, large forces 3, 2, and 1. Got our victory point track, phase track, turn track over there. Got tracks for the Viet Minh over on the right-hand side, and the matching ones over here for the French. You've got the operations points, air transport, and replacement points. Viet Minh have some others for other losses, but that gives you a look at the tracks themselves that you get. But you can see all of the terrain on the map is very easy to read because it's well laid out. I really do like the color scheme. The green is really bright. It's a lot brighter than you may think. You'd expect kind of like jungle to be darker green, but I guess this is kind of like the top of the canopy shining off the sunlight kind of look, but definitely easy to distinguish each of the terrain features on the map, and I like that. And then you see this is Laos here, and then Tonkin up here, China over to the top right. All right, so let's take a look at the counters that come with the game. You have your Viet Minh counters and some admin counters. Got Uncle Ho down here for the headquarters unit, and then we have the French units here, as well as more admin counters. And then headquarters unit here is Kim Kanger himself. And then we've got our month phase and all admin counters down at the bottom right. But that is a look at the counters that come with the game. And now we'll take a look at the player aids. You have your terrain effects chart, terrain key, unit information here. Gives you a breakdown of what the terrain is, and then the effects on combat, movement, so on and so forth. The reinforcement chart here for the French and Viet Minh forces. These are all single-sided. And then you have the barrage attack table, activation and operations point, where to move, retreat, rain season effects, victory point table, disorganized effects, and combat and DG results table at the top right. And then French and Viet Minh forces for the Cao Bang scenario, which is scenario 1. These are double-sided. Hanoi is the second scenario, Ho Ben is the third, and then Play de Jar, Dien Bien Phu, the final showdown, and then we have scenario 6, which is Nasan. So you've got 6 different scenarios in the game, and then you have your battle board with your combat DG results table, combat die roll modifiers, and DG die roll modifiers here. This is the way you can have your defender in this unit and then all the attacking units around it. So you can set things up here and then set it off on the side for the battle board. I'll take a look at the rule book now. All right, so here's a look at the rule book. It goes to page 24, but the rules themselves only get to page 17. 18 and 24 is example of play, designer's notes, player notes, index, and an extended game turn sequence. The rest of it is the rules here. So only 17 pages. Actually knock it down to 16. It starts off on page 2. So let's take a look inside the rules themselves. You see what I'm talking about. It starts here on page 2, and this gives you your basics, which your abbreviations and their explanations, units, how the Zocs work, tracing to be within range, stacking, the map, and then French unit designations. And then we flip over to page 4, and we get into the rain season, communities, victory points and victory, replacements and reinforcement phase. It starts out with the game term phase, I should say, and then it goes and breaks that down further. And we have Viet Minh regiment replacements and mobilizations, French reinforcements, French replacement points and supply dumps, French withdrawals, movement phase, how movement works, double move transports, air transport, truck transport, river transport, ship transport, where you may move and attack, and then special units, engineers, attrition phase, operations phase, how activations, we got activation and activation options, overruns, retreat before combat, barrage, destroy roads, combat, rivers, unit morale, ambush, Bolshevik spirit, combat results, disorganized, which is that DG we saw before, retreat and advance after combat, hero optional rule, and then supply check phase, and then the end of game sequence, and then we get into game setup. So it starts on, the rule starts on page 2, and then goes all the way to page 17, and it just kind of carries over slightly into 18, and then we get into how to set up the game and an example of play on 18 and 19. And then we have the designer's notes, the player notes, and spot for your own notes and index, so you can look things up real quickly. And then the extended game turn sequence, you can just make a copy of this, print it out, and then have it on the table with you. And that is a look inside Tonkin, the First Indochina War from Legion Wargames, and it is available now, so don't hesitate. Jump on the reprint order now so you don't miss out. If you've not checked out Legion Wargames before, I strongly recommend you do. They've got a ton of great subjects and some unique ones as well, but their production quality is outstanding. Their customer support is outstanding. Their shipping time is outstanding. They are a great company. I think, unfortunately, flies under a lot of people's radars. So if you've not checked out any of their games, go do so and be confident that you're going to get a really good quality production from their games. So I would not hesitate to order anything from Legion Wargames if the subject was to my liking, but strongly recommend checking them out. They are a really great publisher, and this looks like a really interesting game. It comes with very high marks. I know a lot of people think very highly of it, and I'm really excited to give this one a look. So if you guys have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.